Ladies and gentlemen, we're witnessing something historic. The mainstream media wants you to believe it's business as usual in Washington, but the numbers tell a different story. In just 92 days, the Trump administration has engineered what can only be described as a complete transformation of our southern border and our economic landscape. While the establishment media drowns us in distractions, another celebrity scandal, another manufactured outrage, the true revolution is happening right under your nose. Border crossings haven't just collapsed, they have declined dramatically. And of course, American manufacturing isn't just recovering, it's exploding. And the deep state, well, they're absolutely panicking. And there's a reason they don't want you watching this broadcast, so don't go anywhere. Noble Gold Investments, that's right, gold has surged 46% in less than a year, doubling the gains of the NASDAQ and S&P 500. But this is not just another rally. Gold reserves are shifting, exposing cracks in the monetary system. Investors are losing confidence in paper gold and demanding physical metal, creating a massive gap between gold owed and gold available. But this isn't just about how institutions broke another system. It's about how you can profit from it. Right now, Noble Gold Investments has a limited supply of investment-grade gold bars and coins available. As banks scramble to fulfill their obligations, pushing gold prices higher, you can profit. Smart investors are already moving into physical gold. Noble Gold Investments makes it easy for you to do the same. Visit nextnewsgold.com. It's linked down below, or call that number 877-646-5347 and tell them Gary Franchi sent you. Yes, it is time to dive into what they don't want you to know. Border crossing. Border crisis. What crisis? The border crossings have plummeted to the lowest in history. Wall Street Journal reports illegal entries grinding to a halt thanks to President Trump's tough policies. The days of catch and release are over. Let's check in with the press secretary earlier today.
Quote, at the border, President Trump continues to deliver on his promise to make America safe again. The Wall Street Journal captured the Trump effect in a recent article. Border crossings grind to a halt as Trump's tough policies take hold. U.S. Customs and Border Protection recorded its lowest southwest border crossings in history in March, and we're seeing the same successes at our northern border. Here's how the New York Post put it. Northern border sector previously overrun by illegal migrants sees dramatic drop in crossings. We haven't seen anyone since November, end quote. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, just 54 illegal aliens were apprehended in the Swanton sector of our northern border, which stretches more than 300 miles in March. This is a drastic 95% drop from the more than 1,000 border crossings that were caught in March 2024. This is a main hotspot area that recorded more than 80% of all apprehensions along the northern border during the 2024 fiscal year. And new reporting from the Washington Times fully highlights the difference in Joe Biden's disgraceful approach to the border compared to President Trump's. Under Trump, border catch and release has dropped 99.99% from worst Biden month. You can't get much better than that. This statistic in particular is astounding. Border Patrol agents caught and immediately released 189,604 illegal aliens into the United States in December 2023 at the height of the Biden border crisis. But under President Trump, Border Patrol agents caught and released only 20 illegal aliens into the U.S. in the month of February. Thanks to President Trump, operational control of the border is becoming a reality, and the administration's historic enforcement measures are yielding huge results. Illegal aliens are finally getting the blunt message. If you cross the border illegally, you will be swiftly deported and never return to the United States of America. Efforts to arrest the criminal illegal alien invaders are continuing to ramp up. ICE Chicago arrested a Mexican national convicted of predatory sexual assault of a child in Cook County, Illinois. This week, ICE Denver arrested a Mexican national convicted of sexual assault of a child in Houston County, Texas. ICE Miami arrested a Nicaraguan convicted of aggravated battery in Hillsborough County, Florida. ICE Houston arrested a Salvadorian national convicted of attempted sexual assault of a child and escape in Dallas County, Texas. And ICE Chicago arrested a Mexican national convicted of aggravated sexual abuse of a minor in Illinois. Despite the Democrats' insane objections, President Trump will continue to embolden law enforcement officers to arrest dangerous legal alien criminals and keep our communities safe.
Of course, the media will just call them a Chicago man, a Florida man, right? Yeah, that's how the media spins it. But President Trump, he shows true leadership. He ordered all flags at half staff for Pope Francis and will be attending the funeral in Rome. Even in times of mourning, Trump puts respect and dignity first, while the fake news ignores his compassion and actions. Let's check back in with the press secretary.
Flags be the thoughts and prayers of the entire White House remain with all of the Catholics around the world who are mourning the death of Pope Francis. Pope Francis touched millions of lives and dedicated his life to serving the Catholic Church. As a mark of respect for his memory, President Trump ordered flags be flown at half-staff, and he will be traveling to attend his funeral in Rome. The president will depart from Washington on Friday morning and return to the United States on Saturday evening following the funeral service.
Oh, wow. So he's leaving on Friday to go to the funeral, returning Saturday night. I will be flying into Washington on Sunday afternoon. I was hoping to catch Marine One as it touched down at the White House. I guess that's not going to happen since he will have already returned. But the next week ahead, when I'm back in D.C., is going to be exciting, no doubt, because next week, Wednesday, marks 100 days of the president's triumphant return to the White House. Now, if you don't know, America is open for business again. Swiss Pharmaceuticals investing $50 billion, creating 12,000 new jobs. Regeneron committing $3 billion to manufacturing medicines in America. Of course, this is what America First economic policy looks like. Let's check back in with the press secretary.
Thanks to President Trump's America First economic approach, investments continue to pour into our country. Swiss Pharmaceuticals company announced they will be investing $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years, creating 12,000 new quality jobs. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals also agreed to pay Fujifilm Technologies more than $3 billion over the next decade to help manufacture its medicines in the United States. It's a top priority for President Trump to ensure we are producing critical medicines and
I didn't know Fujifilm was making drugs now. Okay.
Pharmaceutical drugs right here in America, and that is exactly what we continue to see happen every day. Thanks to
Operation Take Back America in full swing. The Department of Justice is charging hundreds of defendants with federal immigration crimes. Drug traffickers, human smugglers, and repeat offenders are feeling the heat of law and order. Let's check in with the Department of Justice today.
Including the six. Since President Trump took office, the Department of Justice has been all in on Operation Take Back America, a mission to stop illegal immigration, dismantle cartels, and protect our communities from violent crime.
I mean, he looks really serious, though, doesn't he? I'm sorry. My first impression, he's like, listen to me, I'm from the Department of Justice. But, I mean, of course, he's talking about serious stuff. Okay, I kid. Sorry.
Since President Trump took office, the Department of Justice has been all in on Operation Take Back America, a mission to stop illegal immigration, dismantle cartels, and protect our communities from violent crime. Week after week, U.S. attorneys across this country, including the 6 border districts, have charged hundreds of defendants with federal immigration crimes. These aren't minor cases. They involve drug traffickers, human smugglers, repeat offenders, and individuals with felony records. This is what law and order looks like in action. To our U.S. attorneys and law enforcement partners, thank you. Your work is saving lives and making America safer every day, and we're proud to stand with you. Under President Trump and Attorney General Pam Bondi, this Justice Department will never back down. We will take back America, one case at a time.
Okay, that was a little bit over dramatic, but I get it, you know. President Trump signs a game-changing executive order to slash drug prices. Americans will pay the same prices hospitals pay. No more price gouging by big pharma and their middleman cronies. The days of $700 insulin are over.
Pay for drugs. He also President Trump signing an executive order to significantly reduce drug prices, bringing transparency and competition to prescription drug markets, putting American patients first. The president ordering the Medicare drug pricing negotiation program to increase savings while saying patients should pay the same price that hospitals pay for drugs. He also is promising to provide massive discounts to low-income patients for life-saving medications. Joining me now is National Institutes of Health Director, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Director, thanks so much for being here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us exactly what the president wants to do and what you see as the impact this year.
So it's an all-of-the-above approach, emphasizing market competition, so to bring competition into the market much more easily to existing drugs, to use the power that Medicare has over negotiations with to reduce the price so that Medicare pays the same price that hospitals get for drugs, cutting drug prices by a substantial amount. Also to get drugs, the essential medicines like insulin and epinephrine in the hands of low-income patients at pennies on the dollar. It's a really important advance to make sure that Americans have access to drugs at a affordable price, and I really applaud President Trump for doing this. It's a big step forward.
But Dr.
At the White House Easter egg roll, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth had the longest line of people wanting pictures. Why? Because military recruitment is at the highest level in 28 years. Let's check in with Natalie Winters at the White House.
Winters, Natalie, how was your egg roll today, ma'am?
Well, like I said earlier this morning, it was fantastic because there were no transgenders taking their shirts off, and we actually celebrated Easter and not Transgender Day of Remembrance, whatever the heck that is. But certainly a hat tip to the White House, just a wonderfully executed event. And I'll say this, Steve, I know we hear that everybody hates Pete Hegseth and that, oh, everyone doesn't have any confidence in him. Of all the administration officials that I saw earlier this morning walking around, he had the longest line of people, even kids, wanting to get pictures with him, wanting to meet him, and you could just see, which I think is reflected in the fact that we've, the highest recruitment in 28 years, morale is up, physical fitness is up, people like him, and despite the legacy media's best efforts, he's popular.
No. Natalie, you've seen, I want to get to this, you wrote an amazing op-ed piece over in the Daily Caller. I want everybody to see it, and if Grace and Mo, make sure we want to push this out hard. Before I get to that, I do want to stick on this Pete Hegseth for a second because it's the deep state. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Marco Rubio is getting lit up over the weekend over the State Department. Why? Secretary of State Rubio has come up with a plan that President Trump signed off on to basically start to deconstruct the State Department and take down to kind of statutory limits like Carrie Lake's doing over VOA. They so hate it, they did the old thing. They went back to an EO that was kind of in draft form a while ago, and they leaked it to the New York Times. Lead story all day. Marco Rubio and Donald Trump destroy State Department. Pete Hegseth destroying their watchword there is it's out of control. It's spinning out of control. Chaos in the Pentagon. Derek Harvey shows up for onboarding, just the meeting, the preliminary meeting to onboard this morning. CBS News, Jennifer Jacobs, who's a great reporter, White House correspondent, used to be White House lead correspondent for Bloomberg. She's got the scoop, the exclusive that literally the NSC had dictated to her about Derek Harvey. And then the whole city is, in the intelligence meeting, oh my God. And the headline is MAGA-friendly intelligence officer goes in to rebuild the NSC with MAGA-friendly types. They have thrown down so hard, Natalie, on stopping Trump at every aspect. The deep state is coming after him, are they not, ma'am?
Well, I think if there's anything we've learned from every single battle against congressional Republicans and CRs, whenever you hear them attacking you as spreading or fomenting chaos, right, the C word, that's something they love to hurl, not only do you know that it's probably an op coined by elites, they're trying to make us scared of something that we really shouldn't be scared of, but more importantly, the chaos is welcomed chaos. It's joyful chaos. It's the destruction of the military industrial complex and the strengthening of our military with patriotic values and not DEI. We can get into, I think, the context who's attacking Pete Hegseth after the break. But anytime you hear chaos, you should know these are the same people who want unity after President Trump was shot. I'll take chaos.
Amen to that, man. Amen to that. It's controlled chaos that President Trump is certainly in control of, but they want to paint the picture like it's madness and everything's out of sorts. But that's just the sound of the deep state dying. Those headlines are the screams of the media grasping for the last oxygen in the room as their allies inside the swamp slowly drown. So don't read too much into it other than that. Now, President Trump moving at unprecedented speed to fulfill his promises. He's not continuing first-term policies. He's doing those things he always wanted to do that the deep state blocked. Unfinished business. Let's check in with the roundtable at CNN, shall we?
Normally, presidents have one thing that they're able to do in their first year, because we go into the midterms, you're not going to get anything done then. For Barack Obama, it was Obamacare or the health care. For Donald Trump in his first term, it was, in those first years, it was the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. Donald Trump, this time around, and I do agree with Alyssa, Donald Trump, it really is a lot of unfinished business. He felt as if he was not allowed to have a second term, and Donald Trump is doing not just a lot of things continuing what he did in the first term, it is those things that he always wanted to do, that many people in the Republican Party always wanted to do, and I don't think that the pace is going to lessen in any way. Donald Trump is going to keep barreling forward, and I think the important thing for him is that he wants to get as much done in as little time possible. Even though it doesn't typically work that way, Donald Trump is going to keep this pace. Normally, presidents have...
And we keep going because the new NIH Director, Dr. Bakari, now vowing to establish a culture of respect for free speech and scientific dissent. Remember? Dr. Fauci is science. He is science. Thou shalt not question Lord Fauci. Free speech for scientific dissent? That's what science is all about, asking questions. After years of Biden censorship, no more silencing scientists who disagree with the establishment narrative. Truth is finally making a comeback. So, YouTube, you better update your terms of service.
Numbers of scientists.
This is a really important order because people are getting killed by these prices. And I know during your Senate testimony, you vowed to establish a culture of respect for free speech and scientific dissent. You promised to vigorously regulate risky research that has the possibility of causing a pandemic. What can you tell us about that and your priorities now at the agency?
Maria, that is really important to me. The idea that we can have a culture where authority determines what's true and false in science is the very antithesis of science. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, the Biden administration used its power to essentially silence and suppress the voices of countless numbers of scientists who, on social media and other settings. I want to change that, and President Trump wants to change that. Secretary Kennedy wants to change that. What has to happen is that if there are dissenting scientific views, people who disagree with me, they should have the say. And we should be encouraging a culture where scientists can talk to each other without fear of reprisals, without fear of suppression, and without fear of censorship. That is going to be a major priority of mine to use the sort of the influence of the NIH to make that happen. Thank you.
But by the way, there's also a China element here, right? They've been stealing our intellectual property on science.
They have, actually, and that's another major advance I think we'll see in coming days. A lot of the investments that we've made in through the NIH have correctly involved international cooperation with ally nations and others. But given the geopolitical situation, we're going to have to take a close look to make sure that the intellectual property that the NIH develops really benefits Americans most.
That's right. That's a great point. Dr. Bhattacharya, I hope you'll come back soon. We need more time to dig further into this. We so appreciate your time and your leadership here, sir. Thank you. This is a really important order because people are getting killed by these prices. And I know during your Senate testimony, you vowed to establish...
Moving right along. Yes, Patriots, this is only the beginning of what President Trump is accomplishing for America. Well, the deep state and the fake news fight him at every turn. He delivers results that improve your life. This administration is about promises made and promises kept. Make sure if you're not following us yet on X, you need to do so, because we will soon be at the White House yet again. No, there we are. That's the White House. That's where I will be very soon. And you need to keep up to date with the latest that happens. So the numbers are undeniable, Patriots, from the border to the economy. The Trump administration is delivering results the mainstream media refuses to acknowledge. In just 3 months, we've seen illegal entries collapse by 99.9%, billions in new investments, and a military that's standing tall again. Why does this matter? Well, because it's not just about policy. It's about reclaiming America's sovereignty and self-determination after years of deliberate erosion. So here's the question they don't want you asking. And you can, of course, weigh in the comments. If Trump can accomplish this much in 92 days despite relentless opposition, what could he achieve with 4 full years and your support? Think about that. Type your answers in the comments below. And while you're at it, check out shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It is linked in the description for exclusive Next News Network gear. Show the world where you get your real news.